Hi, this is video number 177. This is going to be a different kind of video. I will try to keep it short. Okay, this video is not directed to people who are going through benzo withdrawal now or some other kind of psychotropic drug like an antidepressant. This video is more directed toward people who are helping or observing others going through some kind of a withdrawal. Benzo withdrawal primarily, but sometimes antidepressants too. So it'd be for like people like spouses, husbands and wives, fathers and mothers, sons and daughters, other family members, boyfriends, girlfriends, significant others, close friends, acquaintances, anybody who is not in withdrawal, who has any kind of contact with somebody who is in withdrawal. And I want this to be a kind of what I'm calling a brass tacks sort of video. I want to cut to the heart of this, and I want it to be pretty short because I know a lot of people who are observing others going through withdrawal, they lose their patience, and that's understandable. I want to talk about the ultimate danger of withdrawal. First of all, I'll introduce myself. I am Don. My name is Don. I've done a lot of videos. I've done a lot of things over the last number of years relating to benzo withdrawal primarily. Okay, the beard, the big white beard, there is a reason for that actually. And it has to do with when I started this website, I had a goatee. And somewhere after a number of videos, I said, well, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to look at research and see what's going on. And I'm not going to cut the beard off until someone finds an answer to this, because I actually do believe there is an answer. So that's the reason for the beard. It's not like, I'm some, that's the reason. There is actually a reason. Anyway, I took benzos for 13 years. I took Klonopin for 13 years. When I stopped, I drank a lot of years too. When I stopped drinking, I was still on Klonopin. I found out I was intolerance withdrawal. And then I went through almost a 3-year withdrawal experience. It was just absolutely horrendous. The last 5 years I've been helping other people through withdrawal, primarily benzo withdrawal. But some people are going through a withdrawal from antidepressants too, so that they are included in this too. That's not as common. Okay, let me see. And what I do in my videos and a lot of writings, I wrote a book. I do one thing, and that is to give hope. No one gets through withdrawal without having hope. It doesn't have to be an enormous amount of hope, but there has to be hope, because without hope, suicide very, very often becomes the only option for someone in withdrawal. And that's just the truth of the matter. I'm not trying to freak anyone out here, especially those people who are listening to this who are in withdrawal right now. Hope is what I do. Hope is what gets you through. Hope, hope, hope. That's the name of the game. I have said that over and over and over. You go in the forums, you go in the Facebook groups, you got to keep hope alive. Without it, you perish. Believe me, and I know. Okay, my experience with suicide, okay. In my whole experience with psychotropic drugs and withdrawal, there have been a number of times where, there have been 4 times specifically where I've been suicidal. I will talk about the ones in my benzo withdrawal actually. When I quit drinking in October of 2009, I went into some kind of withdrawal. I thought it was just from the alcohol, but I was taking Klonopin too, and I realized one Saturday morning that I had to get off the Klonopin, but I had no idea how to do it. I started Googling things, and I found out that benzo withdrawal, you got to do it a certain way, and it can take a really, really long time, and I ran out of hope. I was here alone a Saturday morning. My wife was at work. I ran out of hope, and I was moments away from committing suicide. I was going to go upstairs. I had a bottle of Klonopin, like over 102 milligram tablets. That would have been it. But, as I was almost about to do that, something came into my mind, the name Jane. Call Jane. She's a friend of the family. I called her. She gave me a little bit of hope, told me, call your doctor, and I ended up in a psych hospital. Not the best place for a person going through this, but I thought, well, they can at least help me. And they did some things for me, but they didn't particularly help me. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. And then there was another time after I got out of the psych hospital, they had cold turkeyed me off of 4 milligrams of Klonopin. The Monday after I got out on a Friday evening. That next Monday, I was in such severe acute withdrawal that my wife had to go to work again. She had her brother come over here and sit with me in this very room. He sat right across from where I'm sitting right now. I sat over here in a chair, and I tried to explain to him an entire day why it is okay to commit suicide. And I really honestly had hoped he wouldn't be here because I wanted to kill myself. I was in such severe pain and agony that the man is a saint. He sat here all day and listened to that. He said, "Hey, Don, I think you're not thinking right here. You're not thinking right. Like, think about this a minute." And I was not convinced. I was trying to convince him it's okay sometimes if you commit suicide. That is how bad the pain is in this. I mean, nobody wants to kill themselves. You have to understand that it's not an act of selfishness when someone feels like they need to commit suicide and does it, because the pain, the agony is it's unbelievable. I have tried for months in videos and in writing to express what it feels like when you have depression like that. And unless you've been in that place, you cannot understand. But I hope it's sufficient for you to know I have been in that place. And the person you're observing, helping, black depression is a very common symptom, and they're not, well, I'll get into a little bit more here. Okay, when I was going through withdrawal, after I did actually get through that Monday, and I did have to reinstate and then taper off kind of fast off of the Klonopin, hope. I needed hope every day. I searched for hope constantly. I found most of my hope in success stories that were written in some of the forums. I printed them out. I read them. Anything positive I would go after. I try to stay away from anything negative, anything that would stress me. And the name of the game, like hope, 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 but you need reassurance. When you're going through this, you need reassurance constantly. And I know it gets old. It gets incredibly old. I know that. When you're sitting with whoever it is you're helping or watching, and they constantly are talking about how bad they feel, you have to understand that is their entire world. They see nothing else. They know nothing else. All they know is this life inside their head, and it's constant anguish and misery. It's just, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's very, very real. It's had I not been there, I would never believe it, honestly. But I know it's hard. Like, you think, these people, like, I can't you just take my word for it? You're going to get well. Start doing some of these things. And it seems like they have abandoned you. It's like they are someone else now. They aren't who they were before. They left, and there's somebody else here. It seems like maybe they have a mental disorder. They don't. When I was in withdrawal, my son would come over here, and I know he thought I had a mental disorder. I think my daughter did too, and a lot of people who I knew, a lot of my friends who I lost contact with, I lost communication because I could not talk to anyone. My whole world was misery. That's all I could talk about. I was afraid to talk to anyone, to call anyone. And I know people thought I had a mental disorder. Even I thought so. So the one you're helping through this, it's hard enough for them because they keep thinking, well, I must have a mental disorder. This could be a mental disorder. Maybe this is not withdrawal. That's a constant fear of most people in withdrawal. It was for me. It's just hard. It's like, it's unimaginable that those little pills can do this to a person, but they actually can. It's not a matter of them not trying hard enough. They are trying harder than you can even imagine. Their mind is constantly thinking, looping, like going over and over and over and over everything that they can even think about, trying to find the answer. And there really honestly is no answer but time. You have to get through time. The central nervous system has to heal itself. I tried constantly, even though I knew I cannot find the answer. Your brain in this just keeps looping. It keeps going over and over and over. It's horrible. You look at them and you think they're weak. They are not weak. They act weak. They feel weak. what they're going through will make them incredibly strong when they get through it. When they get to the end of this, it's unbelievable how strong a person is. But when they're in it, they appear weak. But what they're going through is it's making them tough. It's making them very strong. They're some of the strongest people I know on earth, believe me, because this is not simple stuff. They seem selfish. They seem like, well, all they can talk about is themselves. They don't fathom things around them. They don't focus on anything but how bad they feel. They can't, like for instance, like going out somewhere, like they don't want to go out, or if they do go out, they're just like a zombie. I was that way. They can't talk about other people and good things that happen to other people. If something good happens to you, they can't be your cheerleader and congratulate you and that, because they're thinking about themselves. That's just the way this goes. They're driving you crazy. Yes, I was driving people crazy. I was driving my wife crazy at the first few months. I just about drove her insane. And we finally sort of agreed, like, okay, we're not gonna talk anymore. We like to sit in each other's presence, but we're not gonna talk, because I couldn't talk about anything but how bad I felt. But she was here for me. She was definitely here for me, provided for me, did the shopping, took care of me and that. But kind of like early on, she kind of like would suggest things. Well, if you do this, this, or this, that will help you get through this. And that she finally had to quit doing that because it was just making me worse. She told me, like, if you go, for instance, one Saturday morning, I think it was, if you go call your friend, like my best friend, and like that will help you. You have to do this. Go do this. And she was like trying to force me, and I stood here and just cried like a baby in front of her. It was demoralizing. It was sad. It was so incredibly embarrassing. You get worn down going through this. I know how you feel. Believe me. Even for me, okay, and I've been at this for like 5 years. I went through this. There are days when I get so many emails and messages and things that it's like, and I try to answer all of them fairly quickly. There are days, and this last Monday was one, I can't take any more of this. This is too much for me. I'm worn down, I'm tired, I'm mentally worn down, I'm physically worn down. So I understand, I went through it too, so I know what they're going through, but it does a number on me too, so I understand that completely. And it's nothing to be, well, not ashamed of, but it's just, I know it brings you down. It's hard. One thing you got to remember, they did not choose to do this to themselves. They didn't want this, okay? It was kind of thrust upon them by the medical community, by the doctors. Like, they gave them the pills. These pills can do this to people. They really can. And you got to remember, they are trying to get rid of this. They are trying to get through this. They're trying harder than you can even believe. It's but nothing works. It's like it does not move. It doesn't. There's nothing you can do to make it move. It just is what it is, and it's so hard. It's so very hard. They're going through a struggle that is really so hard. Okay, I can relate to all of these things that you go through, because in some sense it happens to me too, but I've been through it, so I at least can say to them, I understand what you're going through. And I know when you're helping someone through this, a lot of times when you say, I understand what you're going through, that's not a good thing to say. That's kind of irritating, because you don't understand. You can say, I understand you're going through something really, really bad. I'm here for you. And that really is what they, like, just to be there for them. Like, for my wife, she supported me. She cooked. She shopped. She took care of me. But as far as like emotionally meeting any kind of need, it's like impossible to meet it. It's the only thing that gives any sort of comfort and really good hope is to hear from someone who has actually been through it. And I don't say that because I got through it. It's the thing that gave me the greatest hope was reading success stories of people who got through it. You just kind of have to be there for them and not make a lot of suggestions, because they don't help. Okay, I have a prayer list, my benzo withdrawal people prayer list. I have over 210 people on it now, but in the lower right hand corner, and I was going to get rid of this tiny list, this list in the lower right hand corner. It's people that I have known who committed suicide. They were going through withdrawal. They couldn't do it, and they committed suicide. 4 of them, I think I had talked to on the phone a number of times, a couple of them quite a few times, and for all of them, honestly, the thing that did it for those 4, and I don't know the story of every one of those on the list, that part of the list. They were threatened by people trying to help them through or saying they're helping them through. They got a lot of stress from other people. One of them was given an ultimatum, like if you don't do this or get well by such and such, divorce. A lot of threats though, a lot of threats. And they couldn't handle it. And I mean, they need hope. They don't need suggestions and threats and ultimatums. They need hope. And I know it is hard to continuously boom, 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 be the cheerleader. It's hard. I know it's exhausting. I've talked to some of you. It's hard. It's hard for me sometimes. I have to step back and say, hey, take it easy here. We'll get back to this in another day. So I want you to know this is real. Okay, this is very real. I wish it weren't. I wish this was not true, but it is. These pills do this to you, and the withdrawal can take a long time, and it's intense. It's intense. They will return. I can assure you they will return. But it has to leave in its own time. Right now, time is the only answer. Time is what heals. I have been looking at a lot of research. I've been through this. I know what my brain was thinking, how it was reacting to things, what it was trying to do. And I honestly believe because of that, there is an answer. I think there's a rather simple answer to all this, really. We just haven't found it yet. Nobody has found it, but I think somebody will. But in the interim, in the meantime, this will leave on its own. I promise you that. You will get the person you're trying to help back, your husband, your wife, your son, your daughter, your father, your mother. They do return, but it can take such an incredibly long time. The fear that they have waiting for this to happen is intense. It's intense. It's terror sometimes. It's just unimaginable, because you think if you could give them a date when they are going to be well, that would be fine. But that's the fear of this. I'm never going to be well again. This is going to go on forever. Well, it doesn't, but that's what you feel. That's what I felt. I thought, even though I read the success stories, I didn't believe that you get well. Even though every one of them said, you do get well, you're going to get through this, you're going to be better than ever. I could not believe it. But in my mind, there was hope. There was like, well, it's possible that they're telling me the truth. Maybe they are right. And that's what I call hope. It's like, maybe I am going to get well here. Maybe, people listen to me talk and watch me, and well, maybe Don's telling the truth. He went through something horrible, and he seems to be reasonably normal now. So anyway, I could say a lot more things, but I don't, and I probably said more than you're probably not. Most of you probably gave up by now and turned the channel, but there's a whole lot more to say, having to do with how people heal in different ways. That the people going through this are not lazy. The suicidal ideation is very real. I felt like dying every single day for months. I just wished I would die. Just like, take me. I want to be gone from this. This is horrid. So that the suicidal ideation is very, very common, and it's no picnic. It's not a fun place to be. I could talk about, like, there's all kinds of physical and mental symptoms, the confusion, the panic, the fear, the depression, loss of your confidence, your function, you can't function half the time, loss of energy, burning skin, and it goes on and on and on. There's just hundreds of them, really. I could talk about detox and rehabs and how they take your money primarily, but they can't. Benzo withdrawal takes so long that you can't go somewhere for a month and say, okay, we have you fixed, go home. Because you go home and you're usually sicker than you were when you went in. 12-step programs don't work for this, believe me. I tried that. It was forced upon me. I tried it voluntarily too. It doesn't work. There's no magic pill. There is no doctor who has the magic answer. That's not going to happen. There's no one like that. Talk therapy typically does not help at all. Sometimes it makes things a whole lot worse. Although therapy can help you pass time, that is what gets you through this time. Survive, get through time, you get well. Distraction is very hard, and I know you would think, well, if they would just read or watch television or do some hobby or listen to some music, play some games, but it doesn't work. It just doesn't. It just does not. This is immovable. And I could talk about any number of these things at length, but I'll let you go here and give you this, that your loved one, the person you're helping, will get through this. They get through. They honestly do. But it takes as long as it takes. You can't. There is no magic answer. It doesn't. Some people, in a matter of weeks, they're well. Some people, it's many, many months. I don't know. I don't know exactly why that is. I have ideas about it, but nobody has actually figured this out. I mean, there are a number of theories and hypotheses, most of it having to do with one area of the nervous system, but as far as actually knowing exactly what's going on, nobody knows. So you just have to wait for the brain, the central nervous system, to heal itself. And it really does. It does. I know it's agony waiting for them. It's agony. And you want them back so badly. I understand that, believe me. When my wife and I were earlier in our marriage, we had a situation where she kind of was like the person who was messed up, and ended up in like a psych unit for about a week. And it's hard. It was hard for me. Because I didn't understand it. I could look at it and say, well, what's wrong with you? Like, just think right. Like, get a hold of yourself and get it together. And it doesn't work that way. And when I was sick, she kind of understood that. Like, although it was not the same problem, they're trying real hard. I know you want them back, but you don't want them back as much as they want to return. Believe me, because they are in a place of hell. It's I wish I could just let you feel it for like a few minutes and you would understand completely. You would, but there's no way to do that. So, and I wouldn't wish this on anyone, like for any more than maybe a few minutes, because it's hard. It goes on and on and on. It's Groundhog Day, and it's not just typical humdrum daily stuff. This is it's a battle for your mind and for your existence on Earth. It really is. So I'll let you go with that. Hope you have a good day. Hope you understand a little bit better now. And the bottom line is keeping hope alive, keeping them alive. Because when they lose hope, that's it. I mean, it's suicide. It happens. It happens. But you keep hope alive, and that doesn't happen, and they get well, and life is good again. So I'll let you go for now. Hope this helped you out. Bye-bye.